Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I bring you guys Week 11 running back rankings for fantasy football in 2020. Inside of this video, we are going to be discussing my top 32 running backs for week number 11, and obviously why I have them ranked where I do inside of the top 32. Now, before we get into it, I'd like to ask that if at any point inside this video that you end up enjoying and you're a new person to my channel, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, because not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win that 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. And if you are not new, you've been here for a while, please make sure that you hit the like button down below. I would really appreciate that as well. So before we get into it, I'd like to give you guys a quick word from my friends and my sponsor over at OverlayDFS.com. OverlayDFS.com offers 2 games on their website, the Progressive and BRW tournaments, as well as the Matchup Shop. Personally, I think the Matchup Shop is the way to go, but obviously I play on both sides of the website. But I'd like you guys to listen real quick about the Matchup Shop. Now, the Matchup Shop is as simple as it gets. Who scores more fantasy points in a player versus player matchup? Dalvin Cook -3 points or Kirk Cousins +3 fantasy football points? It is that simple. You just pick one out of these guys. You could pick all of them and parlay them together, or you can pick all of them and not parlay them together. You can put as much money as you want. You can play as much as you want or as little as you want. You want to just bet 50 cents on it? Go ahead and slowly accumulate some cash. Make sure you guys check it out, OverlayDFS.com. It's super easy. You guys do all this research every single week to win your fantasy league, so why not win some extra cash on top of it on OverlayDFS.com. And we are back. Let's get into it. Week 11 running back rankings. We begin with running backs 1 through 12. Coming in at number 1, we have Dalvin Cook, running back of the Minnesota Vikings, going up against the Dallas Cowboys. To me, this is a very simple matchup to understand. You have one of the best running backs in the NFL, both real NFL skills-wise and for fantasy football, going up against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. It is frankly, a no-brainer fucking pick. You don't even have to screw your brain in to figure out this one. Dalvin Cook, number 1 running back on the week, going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Number 2, we have Alvin Kamara going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Another case of an amazing running back going up against a bad defense. Now, the one worry with Alvin Kamara is the quarterback change. Does he get the ball with famous Jameis Winston under center? The answer is yes, but obviously that worry puts him down at number 2, but I'm still very confident in Alvin Kamara this week, going up against a not-so-hot Atlanta Falcons defense. At number 3, we have Aaron Jones at the Indianapolis Colts. Now, the Indianapolis Colts defense is very, very tough. You can just ask Derrick Henry about what happened last week. Aaron Jones himself didn't even look all that good last week up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is a cupcake matchup. But maybe that was just because they didn't give him the ball enough. He didn't need to get the ball a lot. In this matchup up against the Indianapolis Colts, I expect the Colts to be able to keep this one close via running the ball with which running back. We're going to get to it later, but to be honest with you, I don't really know. But what I do know is Aaron Jones is one of the most heavily utilized running backs in the NFL. In a close game up against an all-right defense, I'll take Aaron Jones as my number 3 running back on the week. And number 4, we have Miles Sanders at the Cleveland Browns. Now, last week, if you guys played Miles Sanders, he bent you over the table and fucked you in the ass. But in reality, it wasn't Miles Sanders' fault. It was the fact that Doug Peterson cucked him twice. He had 2 other motherfuckers mosey on into the end zone that were not Miles Sanders and were running backs. So with that said, I expect this to be a different kind of game where Miles Sanders actually gets the goddamn ball, considering he was coming off of an injury for a couple of weeks and then he returned last week. Didn't look all that great, but it's because he wasn't given enough opportunity. This week at the Browns, I really like Miles Sanders. At number 5, we have Derrick Henry at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I know Derrick Henry hasn't been all that great as of recently, and that's a reason why you should be back on the train of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry gets really, 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 really good once it starts getting to brick temperature, and a brick temperature is when it is cold as fuck, when you walk outside and you instantly want to do what that Simpsons meme is where the guy walks in, puts his hat down, puts his coat down, and then walks back outside. But it's the reverse. You walk outside, and you're like, fuck this, I'm walking back inside. That's when the weather turns to Derrick Henry season, and it's appearing that it is going to be very cold in Baltimore, and it's going to be very fucking cold for the next couple months, so I expect Derrick Henry to turn it on around, to turn on the NOS, and go speed all the way through the Baltimore Ravens, who he made look like a bitch last time these two teams played in the playoffs. At number 6, we have James Robinson versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is far from the ideal matchup for a running back. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense is no fucking joke. One of the better defenses in the NFL, if not the best defense overall in football. With that said, James Robinson is so heavily utilized in the rushing game as well as the receiving game that he just has enough volume alone to rank him inside of the top 6. But obviously, I don't expect a humongous game here. I don't really think he has number 1 potential up against a very tough Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So I'll continue to believe in Mr. James Robinson and put him as a top 6 running back, though, on the week. At number 7, we have Kareem Hunt going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. And at number 8, we have his teammate, Nicholas Chubb, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, last week, if you own Nick Chubb, you were both very happy and very angry at the exact same time. Nick Chubb absolutely bumfucked the Houston Texans defense, but at the end of the game, he did a switcheroo. He was about to walk into the end zone. He ran, it was like 50 yards or something. There is no one even around him. The whole defense was practicing social distancing, and this man was about to mosey on into the end zone. He said, skirt, and just juked out of bounds. Why did he do this? Because he wanted to make sure they won the game. If they take a knee right there on the 1-yard line, the game is sealed. If Nick Chubb somehow scores, then some crazy shit happens. They could potentially lose the game. So Nick Chubb made the correct football move, but the wrong fantasy football move for your fantasy team. So I do apologize. I have seen multiple comments of people that lost because of Nick Chubb. That is what we call tough in the industry. So Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, both with very good matchups up against the Philadelphia Eagles. I like both running backs. I think you can argue either way for who you would rank above each other. I think both these guys are going to be very used in this offense this week up against a not-so-hot Philadelphia Eagles defense. I think the way you beat Philly and the way that the Cleveland Browns are going to win this game is by running the rock a million fucking times. I like both running backs in this one. You may argue Chubb's better. You may argue Hunt is better. But in reality, they're all in the top 10 either way. At number 9, we have DeAndre Swift at the Carolina Panthers, and DeAndre Swift has been swiftly kicking the balls of his opponents as of recently. Swift simply looked built different last week up against that Washington football team defense, and I expect him to continue on this train as long as Matt Patricia continues to keep the pencil on his ear and out of his motherfucking ass, because he used to just do this thing, which is called the fuckery of the running back position, which is use all the running backs for no reason. Swift was so clearly the better running back, but for some reason AP is getting a million touches. For some reason Kerryon Johnson was getting a million touches. Now it seems like the coast is clear for a big DeAndre Swift end of a season, a very strong season for him, or the end of the season for him, up against the Carolina Panthers here. This is a very good matchup. The Carolina Panthers defense is not very good. DeAndre Swift is very fucking good, so I like him here at number 9. And number 10, we have James Conner at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The case of one of the easiest matchups ever for a running back, but with a running back that hasn't really done much this year, right? James Conner has never been at the point of the season where he's just bending you over the table, raw dogging you begging for him to stop and for him to just fucking blow his load all over your back, right? That's what he hasn't been doing. What he's been doing is just slowly tapping the defense, right? Tapping the other team, you know? If this was a fight, he's just jabbing. He's never going for the fucking final KO. He's just swinging right. He has this powerful left. He's got the Conor McGregor left, but he's just jabbing repeatedly with his right hand for no reason. That's what James Conner has been doing. He has never once given the knockout punch. This week, up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, is the week where I expect him to KO the Jacksonville Jaguars repeatedly. But will it happen? Probably not, because James Conner just has not looked as good as he's looked in the past this season, but he's still a very safe running back going up against a very bad team with a whole lot of upside. At number 11, we have AG, Antonio Gibson, versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Antonio Gibson has been getting work up against these other teams. Him and J.D. McKissick are such vital pieces in this offense. It is unreal. Antonio Gibson is the preferred player to own, in my opinion. Gibson was on a roll last week, kind of just like how Swift was on a roll. He was on a roll up against the Detroit Lions defense. That was a game ran by the running backs. Of course, the running backs are going to run the ball, but the running backs looked very good in that matchup, and I think Antonio Gibson puts up another great game here up against a not-so-hot Cincinnati Bengals defense. At number 12, we have Josh Jacobs going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Josh Jacobs and Devontae Booker are the 1-2 punch like you read about. For some reason, Devontae Booker, years out of his prime, is just rising to the occasion and balling out. Do I understand why? No. Do I like it? No, because I'd prefer Josh Jacobs to see more touchdowns, but at the end of the day, Josh Jacobs is scoring tutties, and that is all that matters. The Kansas City Chiefs defense is all right, but the Raiders offense looks very, very good, and I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Jacobs had a sneaky top 12 week this week up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, on to running backs 13 through 24, so if you guys have ended up enjoying through the first 12 running backs, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. At number 13, we have Mike Davis versus the Detroit Lions. Mike Davis is the curious case of a running back who has a lot of talent, is in a situation that's very good, but hasn't been very good recently. It's just weird how right when Christian McCaffrey got hurt, in that game, Mike Davis had 8 targets. And then the next couple of weeks, he was getting a lot of targets. And then magically, a couple weeks ago, this man has just been sleeping, taking a nice nap like his name was Sleeping fucking Beauty and the Seven Dwarfs. No, it's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Sorry about my Disney princess references not being too well, but Mike Davis has looked good, and he's looked bad. The Lions defense haven't looked good. They've just looked bad. So I'm going to continue to put Mike Davis as a top 15-ish back, but again, take caution when you do it. This week, in my opinion, we have a very loaded top 24 running backs. Typically, after like running backs 18, I'm feeling dicey. I'm feeling like, damn, I don't want to start any of these guys. These all seem just kind of like guesses. Not really that they're guesses, right? But they're just not as guaranteed to be pretty good. Whereas all these guys inside the top 24, I feel pretty confident about this week. At number 14, we have TG, Todd Gurley, at the New Orleans Saints. Now, Todd Gurley has been very heavily utilized in this Atlanta Falcons offense. I do think this is a scary matchup up against the New Orleans Saints. That is no doubt. The Saints defense looks ferocious, but at the end of the day, Todd Gurley will get enough touches to suffice being a top 15 running back, in my opinion. But I have seen a lot of slander on Todd Gurley this week, and I do understand it, because this New Orleans Saints defense is no joke. At number 15, we have DJ Duke Johnson versus the New England Patriots. Now, last week in that revenge game up against his own former team, the Cleveland Browns, Duke Johnson took a dookie right on your chest. He didn't look good at all, but this time he gets the New England Patriots defense, which is worse than the Browns defense by a lot. I saw somewhere that the Patriots have the worst defense in the NFL, according to some measuring. But again, some of these stats, they're just so fucking weirdly, like, the way the stats work made no sense, right? Because how could the Patriots defense be worse than the Jets, the Bengals, the Falcons? Like, there's so many more defenses that I would say are worse than the New England Patriots. Even the Houston Texans defense is probably worse than the Patriots. But with that said, Duke Johnson, I expect to have a bounce-back game here. I don't expect anything super special, but he's definitely a very safe asset to play in your lineup, especially in half PPR and full PPR formats. At number 16, we have Ezekiel Elliott at the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Minnesota Vikings defense actually got chopped down like a tree by Abraham Lincoln last week by Cordero fucking Patterson. He was actually running quite effectively in that matchup, and he's Cordero Patterson. This is Ezekiel Elliott, and with Andy Dalton back, this offense may actually not look this fucked up as it looked with Gucci Danucci under center. But with that said, I think Ezekiel Elliott has an alright matchup. The Vikings defense, though, has looked better. Pretty good against the pass, not as good up against the run. I think Zeke will be able to get it done, but again, not the Zeke of the past where you're like, you know what, this is a top 5, because if Dak was in the game, this is a top 5 Hulk smash matchup. It's a layup from Dak, throwing it up for the slam dunk, but without Dak, it's looking a bit more dicey. Running back 16 on the week. At number 17, we have Giovanni Bernard at the Washington football team. Now, Giovanni, everyone's favorite Italiano running back, does not, I don't even think I don't know if he's Italian, to be honest with you. I haven't even done enough research. Giovanni, that's a pretty fucking Italian name. That's my brother's middle name. With that said, Giovanni Bernard is just a sick name, but Mixon seems like he's going to miss, right? He's going to miss again. I'm going to cry because I love Joe Mixon. I also love Giovanni Bernard. If he's not Italian, I'm sorry for making him seem like he's an Italian. Giovanni Bernard, Gio Bernard, has been looking pretty fucking solid in the absence of Joe Mixon. He looked pretty solid at the beginning of the year, even when Joe Mixon was getting touches. So here up against the Washington football team is a tough front seven to be facing, but last week, they got exposed by DeAndre Swift. I think Giovanni Bernard is good enough to get a lot of receptions and a lot of touches in this matchup to be worthy of a top 18 running back spot. Now, at number 18, we have Kalen Ballage, the Bellagio, versus the New York Football Jets. Back-to-back Michael Jordan 96-97 revenge games for Mr. KB. Last week, up against the Dolphins, did great. This week, up against the team he was on this year, the New York Football Jets, that cut him. Now, Kalen Ballage is the biggest trap inside of these top 24 that I have ever seen in my life. Kalen Ballage is either going to absolutely destroy the New York Football Jets, put them in the chokehold, and lay a smackdown, brother, like their name was the Hulkster, or he is going to do nothing. And that is the issue with Kalen Ballage. This could be a smash spot, top 5 running back on the week for Kalen Ballage. Or it could be a week where Kalen Ballage does you dirty and raw dogs you. There's really no in-between, in my opinion, with Kalen Ballage. So I got him at running back 18. I would play him this week with a whole lot of confidence, but understand there's definitely risks when you play a motherfucker named Kalen Ballage in your lineup. At number 19, we have Ronaldo Jones versus the Los Angeles Rams. And I think he is going to look good again. But again, last week I was on Fournette. Jones does good. The other week I was on Jones before that. Fournette did good. So now it seems like I'm on Jones. Fournette's going to do good, but Ronald Jones did his best Marshawn Lynch impression. He went 99 fucking yards on a tuggy. He said, Darren Sharper, hold my dick, and ran his way all the way through them. Now, Ronald Jones, will he be good? This week is the question. The Rams defense looks stout. This looks like a tough matchup for Ronald Jones. That's why I don't got him in the top 12. After his performance last week, you got to temper your expectations for this week, but I think he will be just all right at running back 19. At number 20, we have Chase Edmonds at the Seattle Seahawks. The first time these motherfuckers played against each other, Chase Edmonds went absolutely ham-boney because Kenyon Drake ended up getting hurt. Last week, Drake comes back. Chase Edmonds looks good. Looks better than Drake. So I think he's still going to get a lot of opportunity, especially in the pass-catching game, in a very high-scoring matchup, in my opinion, up against the Seattle Seahawks, is a recipe for success. I love Chase Edmonds in this matchup. At number 21, we have J.D. McKissic going up against the Cincinnati Bengals, and McKissic is going to be McKissing some titties after this one because he is going to play well up against the Cincinnati Bengals. Him and Antonio Gibson are going to Eiffel Tower the Cincinnati Bengals defense all night long. I like him as running back number 21. I don't see super duper potential for him to like crack the top 15 because he's on the Washington football team, and they have Antonio Gibson there as well. That's kind of why. But J.D. McKissic, this is a great matchup for him. At number 22, we have a guy that I have no idea how to feel about him at this point in the season. CEH Clad Edwards-Helaire at the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, why do I feel so weird about CEH? It's because it makes no sense. They bring in Le'Veon Bell. They don't use Le'Veon Bell. They draft CEH in the first fucking round. They're not really using CEH all that much. This is a great matchup up against the Raiders, but his usage is very confusing, so it puts him as a top 22 running back with a whole lot of upside, but his ceiling is not very high, or his ceiling is very high, but his floor is super duper low from the windows to the wall, till the sweat drips down my balls, till all them free males crawl. Till all. I'm not going to keep going on that song because then I'll get copyright claimed for sounding just like the man who sings that song. At number 23, we have Darrell Henderson at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tampa Bay Tom Brady. Now, Darrell Henderson seems like he is officially back into the smorgasbord of running backs that is the LA Rams. What I mean is that Akers is now seeing touches. Malcolm Brown is still there. Kind of a shit show, but he still looked good with Akers there and getting touches. So I'm going to continue to project Darrell Henderson to be the best running back on the Rams. I actually like him this week, top 24 running back. At number 24, we have my boy, Miami Dolphins, Salvon Ahmed at the Denver Broncos. Now, I have read that you don't say Salvon Ahmed, it's Salvon Ahmed, I believe. Now, that's what I've read. People have told me that that's what you read, Salvon Ahmed. So I'm going to continue to say it like that. If that's wrong, I apologize. Again, I'm fucking terrible at saying people's names. If you guys watch the live streams, which you should watch every Thursday, live tonight, every Sunday, live before the games, I say people's names wrong all the time. You donate, your name could be fucking Jim Jorgensen, I'll read it wrong. Your name could be fucking X-Elite Sniper 69 420 360, and I probably will read that wrong as well. I'm just a certified dumbass. With that said, Salvon Ahmed is on the Dolphins. The Dolphins' run offense looks strong. It looks like they're going to dick down, in my opinion, the Denver Broncos, and then they're going to run the rock gently down the stream later in the game, which means Ahmed will be very much utilized in this matchup until Mr. Gaskin comes back, likely next week. Now to running backs 25 through 32. So again, if you guys want to see those live streams, see other videos, please make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button down below. If you are new at running back 25, we have Damian Harris at the Houston Texans. Now, Harris has rushed for over 100 yards 3 times thus far this season. The Houston Texans defense is burnt fucking toast against the running back. We saw Chubb and Kareem Hunt combined for over 200 yards in that matchup up against the Houston Texans. So it should be no surprise that Damian Harris is ranked this high at running back 25, especially with how good he looked last week up against the Baltimore Ravens. And number 26, but he really has limited upside due to the fact that he will not catch a single pass in this offense. At number 26, we have KD, Kenyon Drake, at the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this is a very good matchup for Kenyon Drake, and he looked very good before he ended up getting hurt in that matchup the first time these two teams faced off. But my issue is he doesn't seem to get that many pass-catching opportunities. This is an upside matchup, so if you're swinging for upside, Kenyon Drake is one of those good players to be swinging for because I think Drake has a lot of upside in this game, but I do worry about his pass catching volume, and I do worry that Edmonds looks pretty good to where he'll get a lot of touches too, and you're going to feel a bit sad starting Kenyon Drake. At number 27 and 28, we have 2 out of the 3 Rat Pack of Indianapolis Colts running backs, Nyheim Hines versus the Green Bay Packers and Jonathan Taylor versus the Green Bay Packers. I have no idea what to think about this. Zero clue. Taylor will get like 70 touches on the first drive of the game, and then no shit will ride the bench the rest of the game. It makes no sense. I don't understand the coaching behind this. I really don't understand it at all. But with that said, Hines has looked like the better back as of recently. So I'll say Hines is the better start, but in reality, I'm not really trying to start anyone past here, like running back. Past Drake, I'm not really trying to start any of these guys, but if you have to start one, it would be Hines in my opinion. Jonathan Taylor just seems to be getting cucked by the coaching. At number 29, we have Leonard Fournette versus the Los Angeles Rams. Now again, Rojo looked way, way better, and Bruce Arians said, we are going to give Ronald Jones a longer leash, so if he fucks it up, then he'll get another chance at it. But how true is that? Bruce Arians is the number 1 capper in the United States. If you don't understand what that means, he's the number 1 liar. He will tell you one thing and do the complete other. He is so confusing. So I wouldn't be surprised if Fournette destroyed Aaron Donald and friends in LA, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was terrible. So he's running back 29. At number 30, we have Melvin Gordon versus the Miami Dolphins. Now, this Dolphins defense is no joke. Melvin Gordon is a joke. He doesn't look good at all in Denver. He ranks inside the top 30 because he may be given enough opportunity to score a touchdown and be a top 30 back. At number 31, we have Sexy Rexy Burkhead at the Houston Texans, the 2 touchdown man from last week, 1 rushing and 1 caught from Jacoby Myers. Burkhead has looked very good as of recently, and there's no denying that. The denying comes with how used will Harris be, how used will Burkhead be, how used will White be. Seems like Harris is the one who you feel like will get the most work, White the least, Burkhead kind of in the middle. So I will continue to rank Burkhead inside the top 32, but again, I don't feel ultra confident in it, even though his numbers have shown me that I could feel confident about it. And closing in the top 32, we have J.K., just kidding, Dobbins versus the Tennessee Titans. Now that Mark Andrews is back, we are in the hellhole of a backfield of the Ravens. We're back in it where it's J.K., it's Ingram, and it's Gus Edwards. Which one do you start? You frankly have no idea. You'd rather just fucking... I don't know. I think the best way to figure out which one to start if you had all 3 was to legitimately close your eyes and click randomly on the screen until one of them ends up in your lineup and you stick with that one, because that's as good of a guess as you're going to have, because a lot of weeks, none of them will do good. Some weeks, one of them will do good, and the other 2 will do shit. So in reality, you don't want to be starting any of them, but if my guess was to be correct, or my guess for this to be correct, is J.K. Dobbins up against the Tennessee Titans, the better pass catcher. In my opinion, the better running back overall on the team. I just worry about the amount of work he will get in this matchup up against the Tennessee Titans. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you guys did end up enjoying inside of this video, please make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button down below. I love each and every single one of you motherfuckers, and I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow in another banger of a video. I love you all. Actually, a little bit later. Have a great rest of your guys' day. OverlayDFS.com. I love you all, guys. Please make sure you guys all stay safe. Have a great rest of your guys' day. As always, I love you. Goodbye.